Homework 12, Polynomial Division, Factor Theorem, and Rational Zero Theorem, Video 4. In the previous video, I introduced synthetic division to you, and frankly, it's going to be the technique that we use for the duration of these videos. Let's take a look at this division problem. Divide x to the fourth power minus 13x to the second power plus 36 by x plus 2. Notice this is eligible for synthetic division since the divisor is x plus a constant. It can also be x minus a constant. So let's do this using synthetic division. So we need a box. In fact, let's go ahead and put the correct number in the box. Correct box number is the opposite of the constant in the divisor. So I see a positive 2, which means the box number will be negative 2. That's our multiplier. But what about the top row? What about the coefficients of the dividend? Notice anything about the dividend? Or rather, notice anything it's missing? Well, it's x to the fourth power, and there should be an x to the third power. So it's missing x to the third power. But that's not all it's missing. After x to the third power is x to the second, which I see, but there's no x to the first power. So it's also missing x to the first power. And just like in long division, when you set up synthetic division, you must represent missing powers with a 0. The danger is if you forget, synthetic division will do its thing and give you a completely wrong answer, unlike long division where you'll have unlike terms lined up. So it's more critical in synthetic division to spot missing terms. There is no fail-safe measure to catch it later on. So let's write the top row. First coefficient is 1, that's the x to the fourth. There is no x to the third, so the next coefficient is 0. The coefficient of x to the second is negative 13. There is no x to the first, its coefficient is 0. And then the constant term is 36. I'd like for you to pause the video and see if you can do the synthetic division. Just remember, you start in the first column by adding what's there, just the 1, and then you multiply diagonally by the box, add, multiply, add, all the way to the end. I'll give you a second to pause the video and try it, because I'm going to go through it at the speed I would normally do it without commentary, and then I'll go back and explain what happened. Okay, so if I were doing the synthetic division problem, this is how it would go. Ta-da! The work is done. I'll retrace my steps, don't worry. But I wanted to show you how efficient synthetic division is when it comes to the amount of work you have to do. Allow me to retrace my steps. By the way, if you got a remainder of 0, you probably did the problem correctly. Probably. All right. So you start by adding the first column. The only number there is 1, so let's bring that down. And then you multiply diagonally by what's in the box. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Then you add the next column. 0 and negative 2 is negative 2. Multiply diagonally by the box number. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Add the next column. Negative 13 plus 4 is negative 9. Multiply diagonally by the box number. Negative 2 times negative 9 is positive 18. Add the next column. 0 plus 18 is 18. Multiply diagonally by the box number. Negative 2 times 18 is negative 36. And then negative 36 and 36 is 0. So what's the answer to the division problem? Put the x's back in, but lower the degree by 1. The dividend was 4th degree, so the quotient is going to be 3rd degree. This 1 represents 1x to the third, and then slowly lower the degree. 1x to the third, minus 2 is the coefficient of x to the second, minus 9 is the coefficient of x to the first, positive 18 is the constant term. Remember, you should run out of x's right before the last number, because the last number will always be the remainder. Now something different happens here that hasn't happened before. We have a remainder of 0. You can still do the same thing as before, put the remainder on top of the divisor and add it on to the quotient. But it's kind of redundant because you're adding nothing. So it's perfectly acceptable when the remainder is 0 to not even make reference to it. And say that the quotient is x to the third minus 2x to the second minus 9x plus 18. So moral of the story, synthetic division is quick and only goes 3 rows deep. It may pick up extra columns, but it never goes deeper than 3 rows. And number 2, just like long division, watch out for missing terms. They do need to be represented with zeros in the top row.